Welcome to Educational Quick Clips, brought to you by ISSA TV.
Hello, my name is Jim Pansero, and as a sales and sales management consultant, I'd like to ask you, are you really customer focused? Now, in a simplistic question like that, most people would say, of course, the answer is yes. We've got to ask, what do we mean by that? There's a couple tests to see if you're customer focused. One of the tests is to take any letter you've written to customer, any PowerPoint presentation you put together, or any of the sales tools you have, and evaluate them to see, let's see if our material is actually customer focused. You do that by giving it the X's and O's test. The X's and O's test is you take a sales letter you've written to customer, and every time you mention your name, your customer name, or say us, we, or our, you X out the word. But every time you say the customer's name or their company name, or you say you or your, you circle it. If you want to find out how persuasive your writing is and how persuasive your sales focus is, all you have to do is go back and count up the X's and O's. If it's truly a persuasive presentation, you'll have much more O's and X's. By the way, what do you think the average sales letter is? About 90% X's. Look at the average trade booth at a convention. It's all X focused. It all talks about how great we are, how fantastic our products are and everything else, but it doesn't really talk about how to use it. There's a concept my dad taught me as a kid, had a profound impact on me. And what he said is when you go into a hardware store, you don't go into the hardware store to buy a drill. You go into the hardware store to buy the opportunity to make holes. The disconnect and the problem occurs when the rep in the store is still trying to sell you a drill. Are you focusing on what you have and how great you are? We have high quality and all the other things. Or are you focusing on the impact you actually have? Helping the customer with the opportunity to make holes by talking about the impact of what you're going to do and how it's going to be done. Evaluate your presentation. How much of the time when you are on a sales call, being customer focused now, do you talk versus listen? I've been doing this 25 years, and as a consultant, when I ride with a sales rep, a lot of times I'll take a stopwatch with me. And the stopwatch is purely to time out the sales call. The salesperson doesn't know I have it, but I'll sit there in the sales call with my hand in my pocket, and every time the customer starts talking, I turn the watch on. Every time the customer stops talking, I turn it off. So at the end of the call, I can tell you exactly how many total minutes out of the sales call the customer talked compared to the salesperson. Now, I've ridden with hundreds of successful, experienced salespeople. What percentage of the time do you think the average, experienced, successful salesperson talks on a sales call? Well, the answer is over 90%. Now, the calls are interactive, but here's the problem. How long does it take me as a customer to ask you this question? You ready? Why is it so expensive? Now, that only took 2 seconds. How long does it take you to answer that? Most salespeople, it's over a 10-minute answer if they don't bring visuals. So what happens in the sales calls, the call's interactive, but the customer asks a 2-second question, you give a 5-minute answer, they ask a 5-second question, you give another 10-minute answer, and then you leave the call saying that was interactive. What are you doing to really understand what the customer's saying and what they're doing? You can't do that if you're doing all the talking. It has to be an interactive process. I'm amazed how many salespeople brag about being customer-focused, but they do all the talking, they only talk about themselves, and they only talk about how great their products are. It's not very customer-focused to me. When you're talking to a customer, are you listening to what they're saying? Are you asking those additional questions, those more in-depth questions? One of the things I've learned is if I go to visit a client on a sales call, I always ask for a tour. Because one of the benefits of getting a tour to begin a sales call is they cannot talk about your business while they're on the tour. Because as soon as they say, what do? You can say, but what's going on over there? Because they have to answer that, you can keep the topic control on them. So what I like then is even if I only get a 10-minute tour, that means we just spent the first 10 minutes of our sales call only talking about their business, only talking about what they're doing, only talking about what they see as important in what they're doing and running their business. So now we talk about sales training for me on my topic in our sales call. Look how much more I understand and look how much more I know. What are you doing to understand more about what your customer wants? And what are you doing to make sure you talk in their language? If you want to see an interesting exercise with your team, ask your team to each write down the answers to the question of why, based on all the competitive alternatives available to me, do I want to buy from you? And then as you look at their answers, look at how many of their answers have nothing to do with the customer. I ask salespeople these questions and they say our quality, our service, our price, we've been around forever. This is what we do to support and do a good job. And it's all me focused. Let's get real. How persuasive is that? It's like me standing here saying, okay, look, we've talked enough about me. Let's talk about you. Why do you like me? We really haven't changed the topic here, have we? What are you doing to truly be customer focused? See, the reality of selling is there's three arenas you have to sell in. The smallest arena, the one that is the least profitable and also the most aggressively competitive, that causes the biggest problem because it's generic, is when you sell parts and pieces. That's as a salesperson walking in and going, look, special, discount. You have to lead with the product every time you go in because that's all you have to talk about. Now, that's okay, except that it's 100% talking about you, the vendor. It's 100% vendor focused. Now, you see more enlightened salespeople, they go, no, we don't sell parts and pieces. We sell systems. Now, that's a much more persuasive environment to sell in, but it's still 80% you and only 20% the customer, because now it's a bundled set of products, but you're still spending most of the time talking about yourself and your products. I believe success today is even a wider range of focus, and that is to come as a business consultant and to offer business solutions. Because the only way you can offer business solutions is you have to spend half your time talking about what they have, what they need, and what they're trying to accomplish. And then only half the time talking about how you're going to fulfill that. But it's that blending of what their environment is and what they're trying to improve combined with how you can help them fulfill that that truly makes it a total business solution, makes it interactive, and means you're spending as much time talking with them about them as you are talking about yourself.
For more information on educational resources from Jim Pancero, visit issa.com.